Hey everyone, Mr. DVB here. So today I'm bringing you guys my review for Dumbo, which is the newest classic animated Disney film to get a live-action remake, and this one is directed by Tim Burton. So going into it, I was actually really looking forward to it. It was probably my second most anticipated live-action Disney remake of this year because we have a lot coming out. My number one is The Lion King, though, but still, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie because of the fact that it was being directed by Tim Burton, who is, this very interesting director who has a very particular, unique visual style. His movies are usually very gothic and very kind of dark in that sense, so I was interested in seeing what he would be able to do with a movie, a family film about a flying elephant that goes to a circus. I was expecting a lot of the circus stuff to be very out there and interesting from a Tim Burton standpoint, and to my surprise it actually felt kind of toned down, so I'm wondering if Disney was like, yeah, hold back on some of that weird stuff. But yeah, I came out of this movie thinking it was decent. This wasn't as great as I was hoping it would be, but I had a fun time with this movie. I think this is an enjoyable family film, but there were definitely some issues with the length and the plot, in my opinion. I'll get into that in a second, but I'll start off with what I loved about the film first. From a visual standpoint, this is great. Now, this is not really a surprise to me because Tim Burton's directing it. Now, like I said, it doesn't have his super over-the-top gothic style that you normally would get from films like Edward Scissorhands or anything like that. But still, he had some really cool visual things in this movie. The effects were very, very good. Dumbo looked amazing in this film. Any of the sequences that involved Dumbo flying were, really, I'll use the word because it's a Disney film, magical. The effects were fantastic. The music was great as well. So it was really, those moments were really awesome, especially in IMAX where it's just so loud and you're kind of immersed in the scene. Those moments were the best parts of the film by far, which they kind of would be by default. So yeah, moments like that were fantastic. I also really liked the human characters, something I wasn't really expecting. Now, like I said, I haven't seen the original version in years, but I do know that film wasn't really, all about the human characters. A lot more of it was just focused on Dumbo and kind of his mentor, which is a little tiny mouse. In this movie, the mentors are basically the kids that are taking care of Dumbo. They're the ones that are kind of teaching him about the circus and all that kind of stuff. And those sequences, with the kids, I thought were handled very well. I thought the kid actors in this movie were really good. They were, not bad actors or anything like that. So it wasn't like you're watching these really annoying kids on screen. They actually did a really good job, especially the little girl who played definitely a bigger role than the boy did. I thought Colin Farrell was really good in the movie. Danny DeVito was hilarious, as always. Really liked him in this film. The only human actor I really wasn't a big fan of, all actors are humans, but the only actor I wasn't a huge fan of was Michael Keaton in this movie, which is weird because I normally think he's a great actor. I just wasn't a huge fan of his character in this movie. Obviously he's the big corporate bad guy who doesn't give a crap about the animals and he just wants to make a bunch of money off of the circus stuff, but I don't like the way they handled this character. His accent switched all the time. He would have, a normal American accent, and then in another scene he would have, this weird accent. I couldn't even pinpoint where it was supposed to be from. It sounded super weird and fake. And I don't know, I just wasn't the biggest fan of his character. The writing wasn't the best in this movie, to be honest, especially when it was between the human characters. So whenever he was talking, I don't know, his voice, and then just on top of that, the dialogue, I don't know. I just really didn't care for his character in this movie. They could have done way better. Even if he was just more of a cliche character, he probably would have been better. I think it was just really the dialogue and his accent that kind of threw me off with his role. But everybody else I liked for the most part, especially Danny DeVito, who did great. Colin Farrell was great in the movie as well, and the kids were pretty good. So, yeah, the human characters for the most part I actually really enjoyed. Dumbo, like I said, CGI was fantastic, really cute. This movie wasn't as emotional as the original. I remember in that was a really sad film, especially the scene where Dumbo's leaving his mother. Here, it was still I guess semi-emotional, but it was definitely way more hard-hitting in the original, in my opinion. One of the choices they decided to go with, obviously, since this is kind of a more not realistic, but it's a live-action film, they decided to not have the animals talk, and I'm pretty sure in the original Dumbo could speak to the mouse and that kind of stuff. So in the original you had the mother singing Baby Mine or whatever. That was not in this. They had the song, but it wasn't being sung by the mother or anything like that. So I guess it kind of felt more realistic in the sense when the elephants were leaving each other, but it just didn't still have that, that hit that the original had, in my opinion. So that wasn't necessarily con, that was just something I kind of picked up on because they were, like I said, trying to make this more realistic, and modern, I guess. I don't know what I would really call it. I know they changed the ending. There's a lot of stuff that they definitely changed. Out of all of the newer Disney remakes, this is definitely the most different from its source material, which is interesting because I kind of thought that this wouldn't really be able to have that much of them to change, because it's a pretty, basic storyline, having just an elephant that's, brought into the circus world, but they changed a lot of stuff, so I think that might be jarring for some people, but at the same time, that would be kind of hypocritical in a way, because I know a lot of people complain about these remakes being made because, well, we don't need to see the same story told again, but then yet they also complain when they do change up stuff, so I don't know how this is going to fall with audiences as far as the way the story and everything goes. I personally like the way they handled it. I thought it was done in a really good way. Like I said, I just think the biggest problem with this movie overall for me was that there wasn't enough to really fill up like that nearly 2-hour runtime. It felt like it kind of dragged on in some areas, especially near the middle. We were getting a lot of these similar scenes of just like characters in the circus, and I think the circus scenes weren't as amazing as they could have been. Like when Dumbo was flying, those were great, but they could have given us some really cool and well shot sequences with the different circus people, and I never really felt like that was there. So maybe if they did some more stuff with that, the length would have felt a little better and there would have been a better flow, but the movie felt kind of choppy. It was a little bit messy in my opinion. It kind of just went from scene to scene really quickly, but it didn't feel like much was going on in the story, so it just kind of made the movie feel like it was dragging on a bit. But, that's just what I thought of the movie. I thought it was, pretty good overall. I thought it was a fun and enjoyable time. Definitely a good family film to go check out. So yeah, I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10. I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. There were just some problems with like the story and things dragging on a bit. But other than that, enjoyable movie. Really good visual effects. One of Tim Burton's better films in like recent memory. I don't even remember any of the other films he's made recently, so yeah. But there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts on Dumbo. I'll see you guys next time, where I'll probably be reviewing Pet Sematary. Already saw Shazam, so yeah, I think that's the next movie coming out. See you guys then. Bye.